Hi, we're MMA2. This is Group 3 Team D's video analysis of our video production.
The idea was suggested by James and the group agreed. We soon contacted Luke and the date was arranged.
So in order to prepare our interview with Luke, we had to decide on a time and a location, and then we had to set up a storyboard of questions to ask him about his Urban Arts Society and the graffiti art that he does. And we also had to arrange the renting of equipment used for the interview, such as like the camera and the boom and all that kind of stuff.
Setup took about 20 minutes, and Claire was getting ready to ask the questions. And then we had 3 takes from 3 different angles to mix them up. We done a test shot first, and then we went ahead and we ended up with more than we needed for the final shot, but we got it there.
Some issues with filming the interview for Luke. The weather was dry, however dull, and it was during the middle of winter. Light had shifted in the hour and a half we were setting up for the filming. Having artificial light to fill the area could have enhanced our footage, but we were happy with a natural light.
Audio was clear with the lapels. If we adjust the booms, we would have picked up traffic on campus, the Ballymun entrance and trolley bins coming out of the Spar shop, 2 bins located beside the shooting area.
The equipment we used was the Sony X3, the tripod stand, the boom, the mrats, the boom pole, all from the loans office. External equipment owned by group members. Hamilton's lapels mics attached to interviewee. James's Nikon D7000 SLR with a prime lens set at f1.4 for a sharp focus shot and own tripod stand. Spare batteries for mrats, not fully charged though, that came from the loans office.
Luke was actually 50 minutes late for the interview for the time we arranged, so we were a little pressed for time as well because he had to go for another interview at a certain time afterwards, so we had a certain time slot to get all the footage that we needed and to make sure that we didn't make any mistakes, and luckily enough we did get that done and we got the appropriate shots and everything. So
the batteries in the D7000 Nikon weren't fully charged, so James had to make a 10-minute time to charge batteries enough to last for filming. Could have been something checked the night beforehand. Murat's batteries were only half charged for sound recording. We had spare batteries from James's flash, but just about had enough power to record all the interview. Not ideal if other problems might have occurred, i.e. windy weather might have made a recording sound a longer task to complete.
we also did some extra filming of the disco venue beforehand so that we could filtrate in some shots there with the actual interview itself.
Filming was done in Rathdowney Business Centre in Rathdowney, County Laois, where Luke was commissioned to spray paint a large wall with graffiti designs for a Midlands teenage disco. Footage was beneficial to the interview as it made more enjoyable to watch.
During Luke's interview, Nikon, whatever, wasn't set on manual focus, so the camera was, being on automatic focus, the camera was in and out of focus. We've noticed that only after, when it came to editing part, and we fixed that on at Tula's documentary, on Tula's part, when we put it on manual focus. And another thing was that the Nikon, whatever, of James was kept shooting in batches of 10 or 20 minutes, so bits of and pieces of Tula interview were lost from the other angle. But that was fine in the end because we had enough footage to work with anyway.
For our video documentary, Hamilton suggested meeting a friend of his that he'd met in the Greek church. He knew this woman from singing in the church 10 years ago, and his wife had introduced him to her. She was singing in the Romanian ceremony that was being held in the Greek church then. Hamilton knew about Tula's story from Cyprus and how she was always helpful around the church. He asked if she'd be interested in being part of our video documentary. He had rang her to get details of her story about being from Cyprus and not being able to go back to her home country or her family home.
We arranged in November to meet Tula in her house in Wilkinstown, west of the city. We spent an afternoon getting to know about her early life and family.
In the beginning of our interview with Tula, we decided that we'd meet her first and just have a normal chat and she would tell us her story then. And we actually recorded the conversations so that we could listen back and plan the questions for that. We set up a Facebook group so that we could communicate with each other and plan what we do and when we do it, and also share our files, which is where James shared the recorded file that we had of Tula's first conversation. So I then listened back to the conversation and I got the questions from that, and then we used those questions as guidelines for our next meeting with Tula, which is a few weeks before Christmas.
On all occasions, we went to Tula's house, and other occasions with my car. We got all the boys and girls in my car, and this way there wasn't an issue. The transport wasn't an issue, and we got there on time. That's it. Yeah. Scroll.
For Tula's interview, with the equipment used was 2 Sony X3s, 2 tripods, lights, boom pole, marats, all from the loans office. Lapel mic for Tula, James Nikon D7000, and on prime lens f1.4.
Setup took some time, as the room we interviewed Tula in was her living room, and it was quite small. We had spent 15 minutes rearranging the room to have space for the equipment setup. We wanted to have Tula in front of a table with old photographs of her family, parents, wedding, and her hometown in Cyprus. We had laid out space for filming Tula so that it looked natural, and we had diffusers cover over our lights to give off a soft, natural lighting effect.
Filming took 3 separate days. Tula's house on her own to tell her story, another day with their family and friends, and then the 3rd day in the Romanian church where Father Inerney spoke about Tula's involvement with the church over the past few decades.
So there were other people that helped us in making this documentary about Tula. One of them was Margaret, her neighbor, and another June and Rosalie, who visited her before Christmas. Of course, the Raphael, the little baby, which is the son of the second priest in our church, and of course the father who introduced me to Tula years ago, and that's how I got to know Tula's story.
Some issues we had with our project for Tula's documentary was not everyone was available for the first shoot. One of our members was sick, so obviously not everyone was together then to agree on ideas and that, so that was a bit of an issue. And then another issue we had was with our footage, and Tula was actually sitting on the right side of the shot, and we wanted her to look at the camera, but she kept looking around when she was talking, so she was kind of like looking away, and we didn't have the full shot of her looking at the camera, and we tried to direct her on that, but she kept looking away, so we just let her go ahead with her own thing, and it worked out in the end, so it's all good.
Certain stages of the interview for the documentary required handling Tula's emotional state with professionalism, as Tula did become upset at some points, telling her story and struggling with missing her hometown and not being able to visit her father's grave. We all respected her choice to willingly tell the story, so allowed time to compose herself. This came into our time management of filming.
The interview took quite a long time. We were there for around 3 hours, and then an hour again on the 2 other days of filming.
And in the end, it came to editing of the video, which I was in charge with, and along with my colleagues, we've done that in a couple of days. I found royalty-free music and the additional footage to help us producing the final result, and that was just about it. The reason I'm looking at that screen is that we have the text there, because we don't know what we did.
All content for our video production is properly credited on our video credits and our release form.
Yay!